Super
Okay, so
excited
the
to
table
be
looks
here with
nice.
Benzi today. Remote. He is going to give us a unique showcase showdown of what's taking place in the Time to Be Happy gallery in Soho. He has a special guest with him today, but before he makes any introductions, Benzi, please introduce yourself and set the scene. I hear beautiful music.
Oh, should I put it down or are you guys enjoying it?
No, it's nice. Nice.
Oh,
Puts
thank
everybody in
you.
a happy mood.
Thank you. It's the vibe of the gallery. So yeah, so basically this Time to Be Happy gallery, we're going to extend more about what it is, I'm sure in the near future. But today we're having a special lady. Her name is Dr. Sian. She is the first black woman to pilot a spacecraft. And she's a very famous astronaut and an incredible artist. And a lot of the meaning and message of the gallery and the Time to Be Happy is that time is actually space. So today we're doing a collaboration clock together. We actually did one together in 2023 and it was sold. And we decided that we got to do it again because one, we had a great time, and two, it's because it's such a great element in the story of the gallery. We have few. I'll show you just so we have like few. 1 second, science. No problem. So we have a few line of collaboration clocks. We have right here. This one is with Dave Krugman, and moving forward, we have
We
Jen
know Dave
Stark,
Krugman. Sure. Jen Stark.
Jen
Okay, I see
Stark,
Jen
Jack
Stark.
Fried. We got Brian Brickman.
Yeah.
We got Jack Butcher,
Okay.
Micah Johnson. We have Swoon and Ron English, and we have Little Shoko here.
Oh.
So today we're doing the clock together, and she's coming in from the outside. I'll make the introduction. And Dr. Sayan says, during my time in space, I orbit the Earth every 90 minutes, exploring the sunrise and sunset every 45 minutes, which is also another element of how we see times, measure it, and perspective of our time and how it changes in space and how, in general, time is space. But here she's coming in.
And how did you guys first meet?
So we actually met at I had a show in Scope in Miami during Art Basel, and we met there. And then she goes, "Oh, I would love to do." I had a collection there of clocks. She goes, "Oh, I would love to do a clocks with you guys." I'm like, "Okay." And then she told me who she was. I was like, "Oh my god, absolutely, we have to do it." And we talked about it for a while, and then we actually met in Joshua Tree the next time we met to film, which was till today the most craziest shoot I've ever done because of the weather and nature over there. But it came out beautiful. I'll show a little bit of it shortly. And to follow the clock that we did before, we did it in LA at the Soho House location, and we had it as a workshop. We invited all the Soho House members, and it was really beautiful. This is, let me just open the clock here. So this was shot in Joshua Tree. So this is also part of the clock. It's featuring Dr. Cyan. We have a lot
Can
of
you
cool
share a
videos.
little bit of the history of the clock because it's meshing
Absolutely.
old with new?
Yeah. So the clocks are basically all IBM original, made between 1912 to 1930. They used to be act as punch in, punch out clocks. You can see people used to come to work and basically punch in and out. So basically, you would
Presumably, people were happier when they punched out than when they punched in.
I believe so. Yeah, most likely. Certain things don't change, but I think one of the interesting element with the clock that is there's a lot of different clocks, right? But this one is actually a clock that not just measure time, but also measure time of work, which I found fascinating. And so basically, used to basically putting the card in this and basically punch in and out. And today, these cards are active where we ask our guests to write one thing that makes them happy. And we have all these, We have thousands of them actually. It started like a year and a half ago. So we have a lot of people writing one thing that makes them happy. That's some funky stuff.
Happiness has been very elusive for many Americans. It's become a whole discipline unto itself. I recall listening to Arthur Brooks, who has now focused a lot of his research and science studies on the art of happiness and has published a number of works. His class at Harvard is one of the most popular. Maybe that isn't surprising for us, Benzi, that so many folks at Harvard are striving to find happiness and need a class on it.
Yeah, I don't. It's a longer, bigger conversation. I think that it comes with work. It's like I always say, if you go to the gym 2-3 times a week and you have your body's great and it's stiff and you're happy with it, once you keep it up, it stays the way you like it. But if you stop going for a month and a half, everything goes away almost. So I think also with happiness, it's something that it's a practice, and it's something that we need to keep on working on it, and not leave it when we're happy. And one of the elements that I like about the time and happiness, how time is connected with happiness in terms of the time to be happy gallery and the philosophy, is that I find it that when you can let go of the regrets of the past and the concern of the future, that moment is a happy moment, right? That moment you're connected to now, and you're not letting things that are in other elements affecting you. So that's the sticker over here that says "Welcome to Now." That's the meaning of it. All right, are we ready to meet this young lady over here named Dr. Sian?
Of course.
Amazing. You take over.
Hi, Dan. How's it going?
Going well. Happy Monday. How are you?
Happy Monday to you, too.
Looks like you guys are having some real fun there.
Yeah, it's always fun to hang out with Benzi. In the studio
So
is so much. Huh?
tell me a little tidbit. Most of our viewers will already have an intro to you,
Okay.
so we won't need to spend time on that together. The one tidbit I will mention is that I know you're from Guam, and I haven't been. No one's invited me to visit. But years ago, when I was doing a research project on real estate, malls, retailers, and large format, sort of big box merchandisers, we kept coming back to this enormous storefront in Guam, the most profitable Kmart in the world.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And of all the Kmarts that we had visited, all the Sears stores that we had visited, nothing could ever come close. And that's partly because there's a monopoly on the island, becomes sort of a shopping center. So that's always remained in my head because it's been on my bucket list of things I need to understand. Why does this one store so dramatically outperform every other place?
Well, I was born on Guam, but my family left 2 months after I was born. So I haven't been back since. I need to go back myself and
There's
be
a reason
invited
for
back.
us to travel.
Yeah, I actually brought the Guam coin to space with me. So in 1970, the year that I was born, it was when they got their governor, and they got the governor's coin that was commissioned then. And so that's kind of like the first gift my parents ever got me. So I brought that to space with me.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And it would certainly be nice if we could hop on some sort of SpaceX rocket and make our way there in less than half an hour. How did you get into becoming an astronaut in the first place? And then I want to focus on your art passion.
Yeah, well, I actually had been chasing space my entire life because I was born on Guam because my dad was working at the NASA tracking station during the Apollo missions. And I'm a moon celebration baby. I was born 8.5 months after Neil Armstrong stepped foot on the moon. So literally a moon celebration baby. And I grew up with all of this amazing NASA memorabilia to my dad on his office wall. And I just was growing up in the era of the right stuff and fighter pilots, and I always wanted to fly and be an astronaut. But like a lot of us, those childhood dreams slip away. So I went off and I became a geoscience professor. And I always still had this love of aviation and aerospace. So I got my pilot's license and scuba certified, and I really became an explorer of the world around me. And then it just so happened that in my late 30s, I tried out to be a NASA astronaut. I got down to the yes/no phone call, and it was a no by NASA. And so I pivoted and became an analog astronaut living in Moon and Mars simulations, and COVID hit. And during COVID, I kind of reinvented myself as an artist and a poet, not knowing that 9 months later, it would win me a seat to space. So I'm the first artist selected to go to space. And I got selected because I wrote a poem called Space to Inspire, and I created a video of me reading that poem on Twitter. That was the contest. You had to create a 2-minute video of why they should take you to space for the prosperity seat. And so my entry was a poem, and it won me a seat to space, a 3-day trip on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket Dragon capsule. And as a result, wow. Yeah. And then as a result of that, I got tapped by my commander to become the mission pilot. So I'm the first woman commercial spaceship pilot and the only African-American woman to ever be a mission pilot. But I also got to paint in space, which is awesome.
And so talk about how life's roads and journeys lead to the most interesting places. There at least is some rhyme and reason how that all intersected. And now you're back on Earth.
Yes.
And in the great city of New York, looking to collaborate with Benzi. Tell us a little bit about what's inspiring you these days.
Yeah, well, I found my authentic voice as an artist and poet. So I'm doing a lot and I'm a new emerging artist and poet. I'm a futurist. And so I'm doing a lot of things that can help me grow and develop as an artist. Collaborations like this with Benzi is a way for me to think about my art and how I blend my art with another artist's style and message. And working with him, it just came together really nicely because of me being a futurist. A lot of my stuff is about astronauts and dancing through space, time and space. So this whole idea of happiness through time and space fits really well with my narrative of wanting to find peace in the cosmos, find connection, to find contentment, those kinds of things. And so it's been great to be able to collaborate with him in this way by creating these physical pieces together that really blend both of our styles.
How do you think about the continuum between physical artworks, which is the focus for your current project, and this growing body of digital art, where there's limitless potential to reach people? They don't just have to be in a gallery. They can experience it anywhere and anytime. How have you thought about that opportunity?
Yeah, I am actually a digital artist. I started off actually as a collage artist, and then I realized with my travel schedule and everything that becoming a digital artist was the best move for me. So I took NFTs to space with me. We did a whole fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital where we auctioned off a bunch of NFTs while I was in space. That made a lot of money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. But I create digitally. This is one of my digital assets here. But what's great about it is designing something digital. How do you take that into the physical space? Well, I'm a geometric line artist, and I'm looking for that one piece. It's over on this side. Here it is. And so you can see this is my digital art that's been printed out onto my sweater dress here. But I'm a geometric line artist who can take and laser etch these pieces. So this is a laser etched cutout of my digital art. Now I've got a physical piece that I can manipulate and do all kinds of things with. So I think one of the big things is that digital art allows us to do amazing things, but it's really hard unless you're doing generative stuff for it to be a unique one-of-one piece, right? Because you can keep putting it out there again and again. But here I can come in and I can take my digital art, make a physical copy, and use it as a manipulative for creating a unique one-of-one piece. Now this piece is got a metallic hue. You can see how the colors are changing as I rotate it in the light, because I just hit it with this beautiful iridescent spray so that as people move across it, they get this kind of amazing shimmer to the artwork. And so those are some of the fun ways that you can take your digital art and then make it physical and manipulate it and make it a unique one-of-one piece.
Cutting edge stuff, literally and figuratively.
Yeah,
And
like using lasers.
how is Benzi assisting in your creative process? What
Well,
credit
what's
should we
great,
ascribe to him?
yeah, Benzi is awesome because he is looking at past technology that was everyday common, the punch in and out clock, and he's giving it a modern day twist with a message of happiness. And to me, that's perfect because he'll come in and he'll get the clock ready. As you can see, the clock is here, got the digital assets in and stuff. And now me as his collaborative artist can come in with my assets and finalize the piece out. And so it's really a fun collaboration because I get to think about, oh, well, what would I want to put on this? So you're thinking about the sides and where you can really add your message as an artist around what he has already refurbished and created. And so it's a lot of fun. This is my second clock with him. And so it's fun because this one's slightly different. The other one was black. We painted it black. Yeah.
It's also an interesting moment in time because you see more and more large-scale corporations now talking about a back-to-work movement.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
this clock sort of connotes the fact that the COVID era may be slowing, and you're seeing a demand by more corporate chiefs to bring personnel back into their offices, back into their seats. Hence the notion of punching in.
Yes, very much so. It is an interesting idea because to me, I think there's pros and cons. Proximity matters. So when you're with people, you get to brainstorm and have really amazing ideas just by randomly running into people in hallways and stuff. However, there is a big brother element of punching in and punching out. This whole idea of we don't trust you to do your job, even though productivity and stuff, the data isn't showing that people are not being productive. But I think there's this perception that the small minority of people who may be at the beach or doing something else besides their job doesn't account for the 95% of people who are actually working hard, but from home. And so it's really that it'll be interesting to see how they find some kind of middle ground there. But I know as a teacher, they're pushing for us all to be back on campus, even if we teach fully online. And just so that we're on campus. And you're kind of like, do we need to do that now? But luckily, I'm at the age where I can re-career and become a digital nomad and a full-time artist.
You're right. It is an open question. As our organization at Metaversal, we have adopted a system called ROAM, ROAM, and it's a novel system that provides a cloud HQ developed by folks we know down in Florida. And it provides us with the ability to have team members from all over the world, because the reality is we're increasingly distributed as organizations. So yes, JP Morgan may have a brand new headquarters going up in New York City, but they have team members in every state and far beyond. So they're naturally a distributed organization. And I think that's true for companies now of all sizes. So striking that balance is hard. I want to ask you one thing, if we can go back in history, because our mission and our focus and the title for this podcast is about reimagining ownership. And we think that the onset of Web3, growing decentralization, it all enables a new movement when it comes to how we have thought about ownership, both ownership of physical items, but certainly ownership of digital items. It doesn't just have to be controlled by the big tech businesses. Are you able to recall your earliest memory of ownership when you were just a child and actually took possession of something that you felt for the first time like an owner?
Oh, yeah, but it's funny because I bridged the gap between physical and really digital, because being born and growing up in the 70s and 80s, and then really I was around when we got the first computer and for people at home and things like that. And so I went through all of the different storage discs. But I remember as a kid, my first ownership of physical property would have been coming in the form of getting my cassette and being able to play music on a cassette or radio, owning my own radio and things like that, right? But then it was interesting to go through the whole like evolution of how I owned music in the same way of, because we had the station wagon with the 8-track player. I didn't own any 8-tracks, but I definitely, as a kid, around 6 or 7, I got my first album. It was Grease, by the way. the movie Grease came out when I
Grease
was
Lightning.
Yes, and I would play it on my little record player. But then in the early '80s, I got my little boom box, and I got my first cassette I ever bought was AC/DC Back in Black, and so I had that. And then, but then I progressed into the Walkman, and being able to carry my music around with me and really portable. And then I remember when I got the digital version, and you could actually store music digitally, and the amount of music you could have, and that just blew my mind. And now I don't buy that, because I listen to Spotify, or I listen to music that is strictly coming online through subscriptions. And it's interesting to think about that. And when you're talking about ownership, I don't own any of that. I just listen to it now, right? And so through the subscription model, and then we think about, but somebody else is all about having the creator owning those assets and being able to distribute them. And for me, being an emerging artist, I think a lot about my art, and I have to be very careful about reading contracts these days, because a lot of times they're trying to own everything that you create. And I'm not a big fan of that, because artists should get paid and they should own their assets, and they should be able to, just like Taylor Swift leasing out her music. And I think things like NFTs or digital media assets, or however we're going to label them in the future, it's really important to have that technology to be able to show ownership, especially as we create stuff and people say, oh no, I created that first. Well, did you? Who really owns this? But we have technology now to really stamp our ownership of stuff, and I think that that's really important. And NFTs and stuff play an important part, or I should say blockchain plays an important part in being able to do that.
Yeah, we feel very strongly in the same way and are excited about how these new technologies will enable us to rethink artist rights management,
Yes.
IP distributions, and royalties, all of which can be inscribed by code and therefore set and automatically and algorithmically programmed and distributed without needing intermediaries to try and reinterpret what the artist's wish was, or what the original agreement may have been. Really excited for what you're going to collaborate. I will give you the last word, and hope we'll be able to have you back sometime soon so we could see not just this finished product, but some of your other work that you're going to be creating in 2025.
Yeah, it's a good year for me as an artist, just because I finally have my signature style. Because keep in mind, I became an artist and a poet just in 2020. And so a lot of it was playing around in the beginning as a way to cope with COVID and what was happening in the world and the uncertainty. And now to be able to kind of like pushed to flip that as a career and really start to create a message for myself. And it's been wonderful. I think that everybody should try to tap into their creativity in whatever form that manifests for them and share it with the world.
Thanks for that. Thanks for spending time with us today, and thanks for Benzi helping to put us together. And
Yeah.
look forward to seeing you on another occasion soon.
That sounds great.
Bye,
Be
guys.
well,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.